Dang, all right, I guess they don't like it.
People are not big. Like I was like, it's kind of like a podcast. People are like 2 hours, nah.
Okay, so we are live. So I'm going to start in three, two, one. What's going on, people? It's your boy Rose and Rebirth. This is episode 2 of the Rose and Rebirth reviews, and today we've got some pretty interesting stuff going on. So today we're going to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, specifically chapter 2, because I was going to do chapter 2 to 4, but then I went back to look over the amount of stuff that I could talk about in chapter 2. I was like, it's got to be just chapter 2. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. All right, so we're going to do Jujutsu Kaisen. We're going to do Byakuya Kuchiki's antagonistic role, up to the Rescue Rukia arc, and then we're going to talk about Demon Slayer, but specifically, I'm not talking about the entire Demon Slayer. We're just going to talk about this one aspect of Demon Slayer, the death aspect of Demon Slayer. And once we get there, I'll go into more detail, and then we'll see what we do. So let's just start with, your boy, Jujutsu Kaisen. So yes. I'm currently up to, I've forgotten the number of chapters I'm up to, but I'm currently at the point where, what's his name? The dude who uses the summoning ability for the different animals.
What's his name? I know who you're talking about. He looks a little bit like Sasuke. People
yeah. Shoot, Mochi. No, not Mochi. Megumi or something.
Yes, Megumi. Yep.
Right.
I just read chapter 71 today.
Yeah. I'm at the point where Megumi is currently fighting Sukuna. So that's how far I've read. Ooh. So, but I'm not quite going to talk about that because, I just kept reading. But as far as us talking about it, I want us to take our time with it. But I'm just going to keep reading. So for chapter 2, my brief thoughts on it, and then I have a lot of questions for you. So, brief thoughts on it. I thought chapter 2 was actually, it was very good. Like, to me, I'm not keeping tabs on how many pages there are, but it feels like there's a lot of content. There's a lot of content in these first 2 chapters, and I enjoy it. When you get introduced to Gojo, yes. I like him off the bat. We're going to talk about it. I like him off the bat. And then it's like it's here that you get the idea of where the story is going. So what's the plot? This is where the plot kind of comes into play. With the fingers and Sukuna and all that stuff. So all of this stuff is interesting. But let me just get to my first question for you. My first question for you is, what is it with New Gen and eating stuff? This dude's eating fingers. Deku is eating hair. I'm like, what is up with the New Gen and eating stuff?
Man, honestly, it's an interesting concept because I feel like it's one of those things that hasn't been touched upon, like with the old generation of people eating stuff. Ichigo, he didn't eat something to become a Soul Reaper. Goku, he didn't eat anything to become a master martial artist. Naruto, he didn't eat anything to get the Nine Tails inside of him. And honestly, just this concept of eating stuff and just the new generation of manga and all that coming up in general, they're testing like new ways to introduce introduce ways into getting you into their series. I currently started reading Chainsaw Man this past week, and the concept of that is very interesting. And it's just eating that's funny. Midori, it's funny. I just feel like it's a new way to kind of introduce an audience and to just make the concept interesting. But them to this isn't really something that you would normally think of. I'm gonna eat this finger to manifest this god level curse inside of me. And like you said with Midori, him eating All Might's hair, you never really would have thought that that's how you would transfer power. And it's kind of different. It's kind of a different way of, I guess, gaining the power to become that shonen main character instead of just boom going straight into training. It feels like something that anyone really could do. On top of that, anyone could eat a piece of All Might's hair. Anyone really could have eaten that finger. If you're thrust into that position, it feels the main characters feel a lot more relatable because it's I could be like that, if I eat the finger, if I eat the piece of hair, or it's kind of I like it though. It's interesting. It's definitely. I was like, he's eating a finger. Oh, okay, I'm hooked. So that's basically what it is. It's fun though.
I thought I thought it was what will they come up with next? Because there's one thing I don't know if you remember the little competition that Shonen Jump had in terms of mangaka, and Oda was on the panel, and I know a bunch of other Shonen Jump people were on the panel, but what Oda told them was nobody wants to read a story that's already been done, so try to create something original. And the longer time goes, the harder it is to come up with something original. To the point where, like, I don't think like the idea of a chainsaw man, because I haven't read it, but I saw like one of the panels, and the dude literally has a chainsaw on his head. I'm like, people are having to go crazy. Like people are having to actually go into crazy areas to be able to be original. And it's kind of like, I'm like, well, what's the next generation going to do then? It's actually mind boggling to me. You know, like I know you posted today this thing on your page about time breaker paradox, or no, something like that, with the microwave.
Time paradox microwave. Yes,
right. And like time paradox microwave. What the hell?
It's called time paradox ghostwriter, but it's
okay.
It's centered around the microwave, but yeah, it's called time paradox ghostwriter, but it's since
But you see my point. We're having to go to different places now,
and it's fun. Like it's just like, and honestly, this is like really really good for Shonen Jump and just creative people just in general, because now you're getting challenged to think outside the box. You can't really go with the like plain like shonen tropes. You kind of have to like come at it from a different angle.
Gotta be really crazy.
And Jujutsu Kaisen, like My Hero Academia was probably like the last like just like a traditional shonen type of way of going about things. So that, like, I don't count My Hero Academia as in like new generation. I don't count that, because that's kind of like, that's like the last wave of people like going in the traditional shonen type of way. I count Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover I don't count.
No,
Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man,
even Fire Force. No one thought of that. Yeah.
No one thought of Fire Force. Firefighters fighting fire with fire. Like, what?
It doesn't make any sense. No one had thought of that. So I would give that
no sense.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let me. So here's another thing that I would probably want you to elaborate on is so chapter 2. So in chapter 2, I'm thinking from the perspective of the mangaka. I don't know the mangaka's name, but I'm thinking from the perspective of this manga. He's trying to introduce this new character, Mr. Gojo. All right, yes. And to me, one of the hardest things to do as a writer is, if you have a very short space between when the characters introduce to where people will decide whether or not it's their cup of tea or not. Like you have to make your point really, really quickly. And I just like how the moment this man comes in, this dude comes in with like some sort of bandana around his eyes. I'm like, immediately I'm like, okay, what's this guy's deal? You got my attention. And then he starts talking. And the way in which he talks, his mannerisms, it's just like, I really felt like the characterization for Gojo Sensei within the first few pages was phenomenal, because right off the bat, I'm like, he's chill, he's laid back. He's like, he went to buy what I've forgotten the like mochi.
He went to buy groceries, like
he went to buy
groceries right before some stuff happened. It's like,
right, and the way he sits, the way he talks, the way he conducts himself, is just like right off the bat, the manga has got you with Gojo Sensei. So what do you think about that?
I like. Gojo Sensei is hands down my favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen. Whenever he shows up, it's either going to be incredibly funny, like some information is going to be revealed, or he's about to whoop somebody's ass. Simple as that. And that's like, and it's just like you said before, like the characterization, like how he's shown, like just the way, like he's like the way he acts, like even in chapter 2, like when he was about to fight Sakuna, like this curse that everyone's like, yo, this is like the big bad, like.
Right.
Dude. And he's sitting there stretching. He's like, yeah, just give me 10 seconds. I got it. And you're like, nowhere he's this serious. In less than 10 seconds, he knocks him out. And he's just so nonchalant about it. Like, he reminds me, he's not, now I don't think he's on the same level as this person, but he reminds me a little bit of Saitama. He's just nonchalant. He doesn't really like, I ain't gonna say he doesn't care, but he's just like, he doesn't really take any, I'm not gonna say he doesn't take anything serious. He's just calm, cool, and collected. He's just he's like, whenever he's in, he's like, you just feel like the situation's under control. Because if he's not stressing, why do you feel like you need to be stressed out?
Right.
He was like Megami. He was like, you went to go pick up food and all that. He was like, yeah, I've never been here. It's a tourist that had to go around and look around before, because it's just like he knows that when he comes into the situation, it's a wrap. He's like, I got it. He's like, I got time to spare. He's like, y'all can handle Sakuna for a little bit. Let me go pick up some stuff and let me see some sights, and then I'll come, and then we can solve the whole issue. So Gojo Sensei is probably going to be like, he's this next generation's Kakashi, the cool sensei that everyone loves. No one really has like any. Like I haven't met one person that hates Kakashi.
What?
I haven't met one person that hates Kakashi.
You're looking at him.
You don't like Kakashi? Really?
You're looking at him. You're looking at him. I don't hate Kakashi, but Kakashi mad overrated.
Kakashi. I was like, I'm not gonna say Kakashi's the perfect character, but just like his mannerisms, how cool he is, nonchalant. Like just he's pouring in public. Like you gotta respect someone that does that. Like, come on, that's culture right there. He sits and he reads porn in public. Like no one, like he doesn't care. And it's not even the fact that he has like the covering over his face. Like that probably is like when I was like, oh, you like Kakashi. It was like just that mannerisms and the characterization, just how he carries himself, kind of reminds me of Kakashi. Now, Gojo is probably more powerful than Kakashi in terms of like what he can do. But
oh, really? Okay.
I think so. This based off like the explanation of Gojo's ability,
which hasn't been done yet, so don't spoil.
Oh yeah, you haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. You haven't got, but you'll see Gojo is a problem, and he is called the strongest sorcerer for a reason. That's not just a title. And then
it's funny they would do that though. It's funny they would give that title to like not the headmaster or something. Because I met the headmaster already, or the principal. I forgot what they call him. But it's funny that you'd say that it's Gojo that has the title, but not like the person who's above him in terms of the school system.
Actually, and when that first came up, I was like, you would think traditional shonen that like the person in charge would be like the most powerful,
right?
No, but it's like it's kind of like it's like they're throwing shonen on his head again. It's like you would think that the head person would be the most powerful, like in Bleach, you know,
right?
He would like they would be the most powerful. All Might, my hero, he's the most powerful. Like this is what I really like about Jujutsu Kaisen. They're taking like typical shonen, and they're changing, and they're like sprinkling like little stuff here and there. Changes. It's not really too overly like they're not trying to be too overly like different. They're traditional enough to where you could enjoy it, but they're different enough to where it feels unique, and it is unique. The premise is pretty unique. I like to say the only thing that I could compare it to is Bleach. Right. Honestly, that's the only thing I could really compare it to is Bleach. Yeah. But that kind of
it goes in a different route even there.
Exactly, yeah. And that kind of explains Gojo's character a little bit more. Even though he's the most powerful, that doesn't mean like he would be the best to be in charge of something. Right. You know, right. Like you wouldn't put Goku in charge of Universe 7 now, would you?
No,
exactly. So that goes to show you that just because someone's strong, that doesn't mean that they're capable of overseeing something. So it's kind of like that's I see what I kind of see what they were doing there, and they did a pretty good. Based on what I've read so far.
Yeah, and I think probably the reason why that is because when they lead you into the story, you come into this concept of teachers, and you come into this concept of school. So the moment you come into that, it's like it's sort of establishing a hierarchy. And so you would think that, okay, so whoever sits at the top of the hierarchy is probably going to be the strongest. So you got your teachers, you get a principal, then it's likely it's a principal, but then it's not. It's Gojo. It's kind of like if Aizawa was the strongest hero instead of All Might. So that's quite interesting. All right, so to move on to another thing, it's also in this chapter where we get a sense of where the story is going. So just to reiterate, so this man Itadori has eaten the finger. And I guess the purpose of these I call them exorcists? What do they call them?
They call them sorcerer hunters, I think.
Sorcerers? Yeah, sorcerer hunters. All right. Yeah. So the purpose of them, they're trying to they would like to destroy these fingers, but they can't do it because it repels the energy or whatever, and it grows stronger over time. However, if someone ingests it and we kill the host, it will die. And so the more if you can eat all the fingers, we'll kill you, and then you'll be good. So basically, he just gave him a lose-lose situation. What do you think? What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Honestly, this is a premise that I don't think I've experienced. Like I've read or I watched in typical shonen where it's kind of foreshadowed that the main character is going to die. Like you really don't know, and it's definitely like it's definitely, it's kind of like, it's, you kind of know where it's going, but then again, you kind of don't, because
Right.
in a sense of like, you kind of like, you know, the ultimate plan is going to be Yuji Itadori. He's going to die. He's going to have to die. But also, it kind of kills a little bit of the tension along the way, because you know that they're really not going to let him die really until it reaches that point where it's kind of like, now you're presented with the end game of the story, which is who's going to kill him.
Right.
Like how is that going to happen now? I expect there to be a twist ultimately, like at the end of it, where who knows what might happen. We don't know. It's only 107 chapters in as of right now. But it's definitely interesting, because it kind of like, you're kind of constantly thinking about, well, you really can't relish in the victories as much, because you know the closer that you get to succeeding, like it's kind of like he's gonna have to end up. He might have to end up dying.
Right.
Like it kind of like they're taking tension. They're like it's like they're playing the long game in terms of tension right now. They're playing the long game. It's kind of like, yeah, we're sacrificing you thinking that something bad might happen to him, like in the middle of an arc or something, for the sake that when it reaches the end, now it's kind of like, oh, it's actually about that time,
Right.
for us to make a choice. And I respect that. One story that I really felt like killed the tension a lot was My Hero Academia, because everyone knows this is nothing but the story of how Midoriya became the #1 hero.
Right.
We can't.
We're looking back. We're not looking
We're
forward.
looking back, and it's like sometimes like like when big events happen, you find Midoriya narrating stuff. He's like, yeah, this is when this happened, and this is when this happened. So because it's kind of like you really don't feel afraid for Midoriya, because even intense moments like when he fought Muscular, and that was a moment where everyone felt like, well, people who only watch the anime, where you thought something's going to happen, but if you read the manga and like you've been paying attention, you know he wasn't going to die, because this is his story becoming the #1 hero.
Right.
But it's kind of like, it's kind of like, that's why. And one thing Jujutsu Kaisen has really done well is like they're kind of like building like the cast around Yuji. They're building the cast around him. Megumi, obviously Gojo, the antagonist, everyone. They're kind of like, even though like ultimately it's going to be Yuji who's going to have to like that choice at the end, like to die or not.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like the world is kind of like the world of Jujutsu Kaisen is kind of like scary enough to where anyone could get caught off guard at any moment, and they could die like that. So that's one thing I like. That's one thing I like that they've done, is they let you know what's going to happen at the end, but they kind of left off a little bit where it's like, well, you're going to have to think about this. Like, is he really going to die? Like, is there going to be a twist? You're obviously thinking about this type of stuff, but what if he does die?
Yeah.
You know,
that would be that to me, that would be like the cement. Like that would be something that cemented that. Yeah, we're doing this different if he does die. And honestly, I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't mind that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
it'd be like to kill Yuji. Right. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it would be a some people would say it's not a fulfilling end, but to me, it would be the author is staying true to his word, because at this point, Gojo tells him, you either die now or you die later, and he lays it down, and he chooses to die later. I would feel kind of cheated if you went to the trouble of setting this up and then found a third option. So I'm leaning towards him actually dying, as at the end. Like, so I would actually want to see that. I would.
Also, one more thing that I do want to touch upon. It's something that Yuji said, and this in response with his grandfather, about how his grandfather, I think he mentioned that if he's going to die, Yuji will want to die his own way.
Yeah.
I think they mentioned that in chapter 1.
Yeah.
And that way, if something like that, if it ultimately does end up that Yuji does end up dying, you really can't say, oh, they're just pulling this out their ass just for the sake of shock factor. It's like it's been foreshadowed since
chapter 1.
Chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Yeah.
So like you really can't be upset. So it's like everything is set up for him to die. Now, if they want to twist it and not have him die, if you can make sense, I'm all for it. But also, if you want him to die, if that's the ultimate end game, then hey, it's that people really can't get upset because whoever said that Jujutsu Kaisen was gonna have a happy ending to begin with,
Right. Yeah.
whoever said, no one said that. No one said this was gonna be a happy ending. So if he dies, he dies. That's a Rocky lesson. If he dies, he dies. Simple as that.
Okay. Okay. As long as the journey is fulfilling enough, I think we can all get over it. We can. So
Yeah, honestly.
here's one thing before. Yeah. So here's another thing. So Itadori, for one reason or another, when he eats the fingers of Sukuna, he can control Sukuna inside him. Now, there's one thing that Gojo said. It was a panel where Gojo said, "Only once in 1,000 years does someone with this ability is born." And so, my question to you here is, and up to where I've read, they haven't necessarily touched on this yet, and maybe I'm thinking too much into it. But it was my assumption that Yuji's ability to control Sukuna was a character trait. Like it's something that we're showing you how strong his mental or his will is. But then when Gojo says a statement like that, where no one has been born with this ability, it's like, okay, so is his controlling of it an ability or is it his character? Is it his willpower? Or is it something that is it just an ability to control XYZ? What do you think of that?
Okay, because here's the thing. Because right now the ability that Gojo Sensei is talking about hasn't been referenced or explained as of yet. The best course of action to take would be to go back on his will, how strong his will is, his mental state is, and him being able to control it. That's the only evidence that we really have because there was a scene in the manga where Yuji fought Sukuna, where he countered Sukuna, and they were fighting. So it's kind of like that could be like a metaphor for him fighting against like Sukuna for control of his body. Okay. And right now, early on, it's kind of like they're going back and forth a little bit. You know, when he first ate it, he didn't have control over it. But after a while, it's kind of like he got it. It's like maybe like his will is so powerful that like he was just able to get it back from him. So right now, the will part will probably be your best bet. They haven't really explained in a special ability that he really has. He can obviously like manipulate the type of energy that they have in the verse. He could do that. He trained to that. That's easy. But any other like inherent ability that he might have, like a secret ability that only he has, like he was born with, they haven't gotten into that as of yet.
Okay.
So the best thing would probably be his will. And I'm a read off a panel from chapter 2 that Gojo Sensei said. This was after he ate the second finger. Yeah. And Gojo said it's confirmed it's not just his body resisting; he's able to control Sukuna without a problem. Yeah, only once with a phenomenal ability like that. It feels like it's kind of something that Gojo he knows. He's like it's something that he's known about, but he doesn't like let the readers know what it is, and that's good. That's good foreshadowing. It's kind of like it's coming, but if it would kill all the tension if I explain it right now.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So, yeah, it will be, yeah.
Okay, so and the final thing about this chapter before we move on to the next topic is so at the end of the chapter he goes off with Gojo and Megumi to the what's it called, Tokyo Prefectural Jiu-Jitsu Specialty High School, which is a long ass name, but whatever. And then
I just call it Jiu-Jitsu High.
and then Gojo tells them that now, including Itadori or Yuji, they got 3 students. And my question here is, what's with anime and 3? You know, because groups of 3 in terms of your main characters seems to be because I know My Hero did it in the Hero games or whatever. They had to go in groups of 3. Everybody knows it's infamous Team 7 groups of 3. I don't think anyone else does, but I feel like even Demon Slayer. Because you could count Nezuko, but Nezuko is always inside a box. It's kind of like always.
I don't count Nezuko.
It's kind of like just. It's just shoot. What's this man's name? I even forgot his name.
Tanjiro.
Yeah,
Zenitsu. What was the other dude name? Tanjiro. I know his name. Inosuke.
Right. So like groups of 3 seems. Yeah, people is like, what is it about groups of 3 that is so easy to work with that they do all the time? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, from a right because I'm kind of writing 2 shonen stories right now, so I kind of understand. Like I didn't really know why before, but now I kind of do. It's typically easier to create diverse characters when it's a group of 3. You can like really limit, not limit in like a type of bad way, but you can kind of like tone down a little bit of like just trying to keep up with a whole bunch of characters, because especially early on, you really don't want to overwhelm yourself with too many characters because it makes it impossible to write. You cannot give everyone possibly enough time to develop like their characters in a short amount of time without dragging the story on too long. You can't. So it's kind of like 3 people is about the optimal kind of way. 2 people, it's good, but you will find yourself typically limiting like yourself to only those 2 characters. 3, it kind of gives like the sense of there being like a larger cast of group. You can have like differing personalities. You can have 2 personalities that clash with one another and one stabilized personality. You can have like you can mix and match a lot of different personalities, and it makes interactions with them and like the reader. It makes it incredibly fun to kind of like to read and enjoy. You typically have like the spunky main character, the calm, cool, and collected side rival, all that. But then then with the third character, you could be a little bit diverse. You can have kind of like the perfect character, like Brock, and like Brock in Pokemon. You know, you got Ash, the spunky, Misty. She's simply calm, cool, and collected. Then you got Brock. It's like, you know, Brock isn't a simp, but you know, he's a ladies' man.
Yeah,
let's say that. Like you said, Naruto Team 7, Naruto main character Sasuke, calm, cool, and collected. Sakura,
she's just there.
We don't need to speak on Sakura. Let's say that. We don't need to speak on Sakura. I can't really say Dragon Ball Z. You can say like you can't really say Dragon Ball Z because I really don't count Gohan in that trio of you could say Goku, Vegeta, and then the third could be interchangeable. You get the Piccolo, Gohan.
Yeah.
It could be, but 3 characters, like the 3 main, is typically a lot easier to manage those type of characters. You can make their personalities incredibly diverse, and it creates fun interactions. It creates fun interactions for the readers to enjoy.
Right. Yeah, and you know, you touched on it very slightly, but Dragon Ball, especially during the beginning of Dragon Ball, they just went with Goku alone for a significant amount of time, and they add on Bulma, and then they add on what's his name, Oolong, and it was like them 3 for a little bit, and then they switched over to Krillin, Goku, Master. So actually, you know, that's actually a good topic to talk about because like we need to give Toriyama some credit because like Dragon Ball, when Goku, like the early Dragon Ball with Goku as a kid, that stuff was all kinds of good. That's for another day. So I gave the chapter an 8 out of 10. I was thoroughly impressed with chapter 2, and you know, I've already read the rest of them, so I know it gets good. But so let's move on. So for when I upload it to YouTube, I'm gonna cut it off right over there. So let's switch to the next topic of discussion. Byakuya Kuchiki. Okay. All right. So to this, decided we're just gonna be talking about Byakuya for the first 2 arcs of Bleach, or you know, the ending of the first arc, and then all of the second arc was an antagonist, or you know, he was like the prima donna villain. To be honest, that's who Ichigo was gunning after. But I feel like I just want us to compare his antagonistic work with some of the other antagonistic work that other shows do. What was your opinion of Byakuya during the first 2 arcs of Bleach?
Okay, so I gotta go back to when I first watched. Like it's been a minute. Okay, because my first impression of him was this dude's a bit of an asshole. Right. You know, that was like the first thought. But once I went back and watched it again, and now maybe it's like think critically about it now, I kind of he's still a bit of an asshole, but like he kind of like he's kind of like a goal for Ichigo to reach. Like if you want like for Ichigo to progress, he will need to like kind of overcome this person in front of him. Yeah. And that's kind of how I looked at it. I think, and forgive me if my memory's a little bit, since you're the Bleach expert, you can kind of correct me when I'm wrong. Was Byaku, was he the first one to introduce a Bankai? I don't think he was he?
The first person who goes Bankai?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a good question. I don't think it was Byakuya. Because we even saw Renji's before we saw.
Yeah.
I think the first Bankai we see is Kana Tosen when he got Wait, no, yeah, against Kempa. Actually, you know what? I feel like I think Renji is the first Bankai we saw, which
Yeah, because
is
it's the long little. Yeah, it's yep.
I
Okay,
think it's Renji.
I bet. So Byakuya, he kind of represents like a next milestone for Ichigo to kind of get to be surpassed in order to rescue Rukia. And I also kind of felt like Byakuya, it was kind of like, I ain't gonna say like he was like protecting Rukia. He obviously wasn't, but I thought it was kind of like a rite of passage for Ichigo to kind of like get to him and
Yeah,
surpass him in order for him to kind of be like, look, if you want Rukia to be, I need to know that you're strong enough, you know, and that kind of thing. And Byaku, and that's kind of like how I looked at their relationship. Even though Byaku was a dick, really, when he first showed up. Even I guess like that's kind of like a little bit of like the younger me. Like I really didn't like him. Like I really didn't like him. But no, now that I'm looking at it now, he kind of like looks at I kind of look at him as like a stepping stone for Ichigo to kind of step over to get into like that next level of
yeah,
become like a stronger Soul Reaper.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, my take on Byakuya, I just felt that in shonen anime, and really in any story that takes this route, you always it's like you after you establish what your main character is, and you establish sort of where your story is going to go roughly, you have to implement like a gateway. You need to implement a character that showcases where the story is going to go in terms of power. And usually that happens usually in the story the manga will write them, and he'll just pick one of the top strongest dudes from way down the road. He'll pick them, he'll drop them in there just to show you how far you are from the top of the key. In One Piece, that's what they did with Mihawk.
Yeah.
Luffy and Zoro are they're on level 1 whatever, and then Mihawk just shows up. He just slices and dices Zoro just to show you where you stand in the entire world. I actually like to take that as an aspect of world building, because you are showing us how big the world really is, and I feel like that's what Byakuya was for Ichigo. It was like this is where you should be looking towards in terms of your power, and I actually enjoy it. And what did you think about? Because I don't know if you remember when Ichigo finally defeats Byakuya. I'm gonna keep this short because we're gonna go to the next one.
I feel like you got a lot of stuff for Demon Slayer.
So what did you think about Byakuya's motivation? Where I don't know if you remember when he actually explained to Rukia why he was doing all of this. Making a promise to his family that he would not break the law, and then making a promise to his wife that he would protect her sister, and then caught between the two. So what do you think of that? What do you think Kubo did good with that?
I honestly do believe so, because it's kind of like, I'm not gonna say like you're kind of stuck in a I have no choice but to position, but the motivation is strong enough and it's relatable enough to where you kind of understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like so far out of reach where it's just like, oh, well, I hate the world and I hate everything in it and all that, because your average person can't relate to that. Like, your average person cannot relate to hating everything in the world. No one hates everything in the world, but what they can relate to, making a promise to someone close to them, like be it their spouse, their best friend, like siblings, all of that. And it's kind of like, in your position, like when you take a stance like that, you only look at making sure that you're keeping this promise to this person that you make the promise to. And it really doesn't matter what the other person believes, who you're going up against, in terms of like philosophy, willpower, all of that. Your stance is your stance, and that's how that's the hill that you're going to die on.
Right.
And it's like you can't even say Byakuya is a bad person. It's just he's incredibly stubborn. Let's say that he's incredibly stubborn in his will and all that, but it's understandable. It's understandable, it's relatable, and Kubo did a good job. Like, I feel like if you can make someone like hate the character like that, or like just feel like a little bit of disdain towards them, you're doing something right, because a show wouldn't be good if you liked everybody.
Right.
Let's be honest. A show would not be good if you liked everybody. Like, that's not good. Like, and he did that perfect. It's like stubbornness. Like, someone being stubborn is one of the most irritating things. Like a personality trait that anyone can have. If like stuck on, it doesn't matter what you do, what you say to them, they're staying stuck. Like, and if you believe in your heart of hearts that that they're wrong or they're staying in the way of what you're trying to accomplish, which was for Ichigo trying to rescue Rukia, that could be like the most irritating thing or the most annoying thing in the world to try to overcome. But when you do eventually overcome it, and be it like you just overpower them or you change their philosophy with your own philosophy, you make them see like the error of their ways.
Yeah.
It could be also one of the most gratifying things to overcome as well, and it can lead to great character development, where it's kind of like, and you get more confidence as well, where you can like that just gives you like a boost, where it's like what you're fighting for, what you're doing, it's gonna create some results. You're gonna get some results, and that could motivate someone to push even harder, try to get to what they're trying to get to. So Kubo did a really good job with that. I'll give him that.
I agree, and it's one of the reasons why I love it so much is precisely because Kubo goes the route of showing you that, okay, cool. Whenever authors have to come up with crafting their villain, it's like if you take like for example Infinity War, the way they tackle Thanos, in the sense that they go to the length of I felt that they went to the length of making it seem like, all right, people might even side with Thanos in his reasons to do things. I don't appreciate that. Like I understand understanding motivations, but like a villain should be a villain. Like I don't need to like you. Well, this is just my personal take on the subject matter. But when it comes to villain, I want to understand villains. I don't want to side with them. I want to, because then that just means your protagonist is shit. It's like if I'm having to side with the villain, it means you're doing something wrong, because he's the villain for a reason. I shouldn't be siding with him. And that's one of the reasons why I really like what Kubo did here, in that Kubo made you understand why he was doing it, but you still wouldn't side with him. And I feel like a lot of stories these days, they're trying to go so far off the
I feel like that's foreshadowing something. I feel like we should. Oh man, you think you're slick? I got you. Oh man, I know what that's gonna lead into. You're funny. That's funny. I'll give you that. It's consistent. I'll give you that. You're consistent with what you like and don't like. That's okay. Fat. Continue. I know what this is leading into. Go ahead.
All I'm saying here is we're here. I'm just trying to understand villains instead of siding with them. And I don't like it when people put so much emphasis on, this is it's so sad. And, I'm like, yeah, cool. I just want to understand you and we can move on. So you got anything to say to that before we move on?
No, I don't. I completely 100% agree with you, because it's just like Pain is a perfect example of this from Naruto. With Pain, I understood why. Well, Nagato. I was about to say spoiler, but come on.
No, there's no spoilers here, right?
Like Nagato, what he was doing, I understood why he was doing it. I was like, I completely get why you're doing that. If you had the power, yes. If no one can stop you. But I'm not siding with Pain and Nagato. I'm not siding with them. I'm sorry. I'm not going to the Elite Village and blowing it up. I'm not doing that. I'm with Naruto, but it's like, dog, I understand it. I'm sorry, but like I still gotta kick your ass. Like you did just blow up my whole village. Yeah. But I get it. But it's like, no, it's a very fine line in between getting having a villain whose philosophy you understand, and then it's like, I understand, but you're still the bad guy. Right. I have to sound with the main character. And honestly, the way I look at it, kind of like a way of having like the villain maybe ultimately being right, but it's kind of like maybe the story isn't told from the perspective of the person who's actually in the right. Right. What if we're like witnessing, like, what if we're just like looking at the point of view of maybe the antagonist, but we just don't know. But like their philosophy, you would think they're in the right, and it's kind of like attributing to villains. It's kind of like some of the best villains, they believe that they're in the right. Yeah. And it's like once you break it down and you see their experiences and all of that, you kind of like, hey, I kind of get it, and then you may end up siding with them. This is just me. But the antagonist is the main character of their story. You know? The antagonist is that. So like, what if a shonen one day, right? What if they actually flip the script? What if the antagonist or the villain that the main character is ultimately going up against is actually the main character, and the main character is actually the villain, like the person who Stormtrooper was is actually the villain. And once they like break it down and you go through all of that, it's like you're the villain, That's just, I don't know how they would do that. I feel like that would be kind of like a total mind fuck. I think so. To be kind of like, oh wait, you would kind of look at the story a lot differently. You'd be like, yo, maybe go back and look. It's good. It'll obviously have to be portrayed correctly and all that. You would have to be like, you can't leave like any plot holes or whatever, or like the writing would have to be consistent with everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if it's done right, I feel like that could be a really good story. If it's done correctly, but if it's done poorly, then
it'll be a big bomb. It's kind of like because I haven't caught up with My Hero Academia. I'm actually like way far behind, but I do know they're doing like My Villain Academia arc, where it's like they're focused on the villains. And I'm like. That there's a like I don't know how Horikoshi. I don't know how he's crafting the story because I haven't read it. But if you dedicate an entire arc to the villain, based on where I'm standing, there's a very fine line between you just showing me why they're doing what they're doing versus you crafting the story to the point where I'm actually siding with him. Of course, I don't know how he's because I know like with Shigaraki and they were doing some stuff with his past and his family, traumatic childhood, and all that stuff. Yeah, that's all well and good, except you don't want to make it too sad to the point where we're actually rooting for him, because then it's like I feel like you're beginning to get into some shady area. Like the problem people had with Joker when it came out. I didn't have that problem. I was like, I understand why he's doing all the things he's doing. That's okay, but don't we don't want to cross over to that line. And I'm gonna give it back to you here. But it's kind of like with Infinity War, for example, Infinity War and Endgame. Many people sided with Thanos, and I just remembered one of the problems with making your villain so sympathetic or understandable to the point where we, the audience, sides with him, is that when he's ultimately defeated, you just defeated the better answer to the problem. Where Thanos was like, oh, there's overpopulation, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, we killed Thanos, but nobody did anything about the overpopulation problem that was still there. It was just like, I guess we just go back to normal. But there was an overpopulation problem that he was talking about. Did it just suddenly go away? We just, so when you create villains who have better answers to the problem that they're clashing with the hero on, and then you kill him, it's like you're killing the better answer, which means our hero's stupider than he, and it just makes you look dumb.
It would be kind of like ignorance. It's kind of like, oh, well, the main character is kind of ignorant now. And one thing in Infinity War, I definitely did find myself siding with Thanos a little bit when I first watched Infinity War. I was like, he's kind of making sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's just kind of like cut people in half, keep the resources the same. What's wrong with that? And it's kind of like from like the Avengers perspective, it's kind of like, oh, we don't want our people or friends to die. It's like, look, dog, it's bigger than this. You feel me? Like Thanos is thinking like on a universal scale. Like he's literally looking at the bigger picture, and you're like, oh no, my friends. You feel me? Right. And it's kind of like creating like this, like, and MCU definitely did this. You spend 10 years developing characters and all this, and then you plop Thanos down right at the end. It's like, yo, half of y'all gotta go. It's kind of, but then also you give him a reasoning that makes sense.
Right.
You're gonna create like a divide. You're gonna have like the emotional side. People are like, no, I don't want Captain America, Bucky, or anyone really to die. But then on the other end, you got like, I mean, he kind of is making sense though. And then you got people like in between, like, oh, well, just double the resources. If you double the resources, you double, like, the population is gonna get doubled. But then it's like, yo, if Thanos has this all-powerful wielding gauntlet, then it's like, why don't you just, you have all this power? Like, it's kind of like you kind of create like a non-problem. It's like, is there really a problem here? If you have this all-powerful gauntlet, you control the population in a sense where people really don't like. And I understand they had to nerf the Infinity stuff. Like, they had to nerf the Infinity Gauntlet and all that. I understand they had to do that. But it's just like,
right. So like
they're creating it's a non-problem, basically.
Right.
It's a non-problem.
Because then once Thanos dies, we have to wonder, so what's the actual answer? And we're like, well, I guess the actual answer is ignore it, because
they're not going to be that around to see it.
Right, yeah. So then it just makes you so basically, I'm just using that example just to say that if you create a villain who has a better answer to the problem than the heroes, and you kill the villain along with his ideology, and the hero doesn't come up with a better option than the villain, you basically make your hero look stupid, because then it's like, you should have sided with him, but then you fought him, you killed him, and now we're still in the same problem. So I'm gonna just leave it there. I think Kubo handled Byakuya really well.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we move on to the main event?
Yes. Yes. Let's do this. Yes. That's the picture I was waiting to see.
All right, my boy Tanjiro, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. This is not an all out like this is not where I'm gonna talk about Demon Slayer in general because I feel like there's so much content in there that I'm gonna save it for another one of our conversations. But today I'm just
It's
talking.
purely the anime, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, purely the anime. And how far into Demon Slayer are you? Just the anime?
I no, I've read the anime and then I've read the arc that comes the Rengoku arc, the arc that they're going to cover for the movie.
Okay.
And other than that, I have not read past that.
Okay,
I am
yeah,
gonna lie.
okay. You want to meet both. Okay, so in this segment, we're just going to talk about the aspect of death in Kimetsu no Yaiba, specifically the beginning of Kimetsu no Yaiba, and after the Rengoku Infinity Train arc, to where hopefully we can talk about it without spoiling anybody who hasn't read
Yeah, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't read
it.
it. There might be some spoiler drops just in case. Just be warned going into this. You could exit out now.
Right.
If
So
you don't want to get spoiled.
so this is my premise here. Right? I remember when I watched episode 1 of Demon Slayer. Episode 1 of Demon Slayer starts in when it started. I thought it started in Meteoress to where it was started in the middle, and we were going back because I know like Berserk starts in Meteoress. When we meet Guts, he's already the Black Swordsman and everything, and then we go back. And I like stories like that because it's different. But Demon Slayer, I guess the episode, it starts at the end of the episode where he's trying to take his sister away and he's like, don't die, and then we go back to see what happened. But anyway, we see the characters. So I'm putting myself in the position of the author because I really try to do that to understand why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. We have our main character and we have his family members. Cool. So we get a little bit of detail about who they are as characters. And then Tanjiro leaves to go get charcoal or whatever. And then by the time he comes back, they're dead. Now, my first problem here is this. Am I supposed to give a fuck?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's like what Zuko said. That's rough, buddy. That's rough, buddy. That's rough. I'm sorry, man. That's rough.
I'm sorry, but am I supposed to care? We've met these people for half an episode, and they've said like 3 lines. Am I? Because then he's like, oh, bye. He's crying, he's freaking out, and everything. I'm like, I'm not so emotionally dead to not understand the feeling he must be. Yeah, but like as far as the emotion you're trying to get out of me, seeing his own family die, like that's not gonna happen because I don't care. I don't care about these guys.
Yeah.
Let's tell me what do you think about that?
Man, that's one of the things where it's kind of like I didn't feel anything watching that episode because, like you said before, like you didn't like there wasn't any time like they didn't give us any time to care about these characters at all. Like I can't tell you the mother's name. I couldn't tell you anything. I couldn't tell you anything about them with this watching. I couldn't because it's just like it's like you said before. I get it. Their family died. If you can't, like, if you come home from work or from the store and all your family members are slaughtered, you would be upset. Obviously, yes, I understand why he's feeling that way, but that's different. You spent time with your family. You know them. You care about them. You love them. You do. And as a writer, if you want someone's death to really hit home for someone, you have to dedicate the time to developing the characters of making me feel something for his family. If Tanjiro would have died right there, I wouldn't have cared because I didn't know anything about him. And
I still don't care.
It's like I still don't care if he dies. But it's kind of like you would be shocked. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like boom, a shock factor. Yeah, but after a while, you're not getting that long lasting effect. Like I don't remember what effect it was, but there's a writer who presented 2 scenarios. He said, imagine watching a movie, right, about friends at a coffee table, and you're in the middle of watching a movie, and boom, a bomb explodes from under the table that they're sitting at. For a minute, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be like, oh crap, like what happened? You're gonna be in shock for a while, but then it's not gonna have like any long lasting effects.
Mm-hmm.
Then start the scenario over. The camera shows that the bomb is under there. but the people around you, like the people don't, like the people who are sitting at the coffee table don't. The audience knows. So like the moment, like it's tense. The moments are tense. Like you're kind of tensed up because you're kind of like afraid of what happens. You're like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? Like how did like you're more invested in it
immediately
than if it just boom happened. Like, and it's like what they could have did. Even if it just would have been anime only content, just take a little bit of time to just showcase what their characters were about, the mother, like all of that, and kind of like have it pan back and forth. And it's like the demon, like going, like just show something. Don't just pop up and have everyone be dead. I don't care. Like I didn't care. I was like, oh, that sucks. What's next? Like I was like, what's next? You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, they gave you no time to care about them. They gave you no time to care about them. And that is a theme in Demon Slayer that I feel like you and I both agree upon. They don't do death very well. They do not do death very well at all. And I read them up. They don't do death good at all. Even like they don't I don't know why. They don't make me care about characters. And they try to do it and then I end up not liking them because I'm like, well, so okay, I mean that sucks, but
right.
Oh, well,
I don't. Yeah, I'm like, okay, can we move on? And that's not. I don't think that's what you're. I don't think that's what she's trying to do. So I'm like, there's got to be a problem here because it sounds like you're trying to get me to care. And I know that I'm not like some jerk who just doesn't have any emotion. I do have emotion, but there's something you're doing that's not making it sit well with me. It's not. It's definitely not me because in the Rengoku Infinity Train arc, I'm sure you know somebody dies, and the same thing happens there. I don't know if it happened to you, but when I read it, I was like, I mean,
they'd be like, oh, I mean, like Zuko once again. That's rough, buddy.
That's rough, man. I'm like,
care.
Bro. I mean, and you compare that with, of course. Let me put it this way: I don't know if she got the equivalent of the death threats that other manga could get, but like, compare that to, what people did to Kubo when he tried to kill Byakuya. This dude set it up perfectly to get Byakuya killed. His Bankai was stolen, like a perfect ending to a character arc. And these people sent him death messages to his house saying, how dare you kill Byakuya. See, that's what I'm talking about. People care about that.
They care. They're like, yo, do not kill him. Do not do that. Like that. That's how you get. That's the kind of, like, as a writer, me personally, like, I would love to get that reaction for like me getting ready to kill somebody. Don't you dare kill him. Don't you dare do that. Don't you
over
dare
a fictional character.
Over a fictional character. Like, even My Hero did this really well. Like Night Eye. Like, Night Eye. Like you don't meet Night Eye until season 4. But by like not even halfway through season 4, you're like, yo, I don't want him to die. It hurts because you understand, like, because the one they set up time, like it only took about a half an episode and a half for you to know what he's about, set up a backstory, his connection to like the characters, and then boom, boom. It wasn't that hard. That was 8
characterization.
Episodes.
Yeah,
that was 8 episodes.
Like, I guess the mangaka is just not good at. I mean, this was one. What's the problem? This was one criticism I had when I was watching Demon Slayer, and people voiced their opinions, which was fine. But I remember when we were introduced to the pillars, and it's one thing for me whenever I'm coming to decide whether or not I like a character or whether or not I think a character is well written. I'm not looking at, oh, is the character how I like or not. I'm just looking at, okay, there's something about the complexity of human beings. Like, human beings are extremely complex creatures. Their attitudes change depending on so many things. And the hardest thing for a writer to do is to write a character who feels human. Because more often than not, you're like, okay, cool. We got our perfect character, cool. One-dimensional. We got our cool character, one-dimensional. We got our main loud character. It's like you just go around those routes. But the closer a character gets to where you feel like he's got many layers to him, the better written he is, in my opinion. Right. So kind of like my thing with Ichigo, to where a lot of people, because there are many moments where Ichigo will break down and cry, and many people look at that and I'm like, that's human. I can relate to that. Depending on the situation he's in, his attitude changes, just like every one of us.
Yes.
But there's something about the Demon Slayer pillars, especially when they're introduced, to where it's like, oh, here's the loud guy. Here's the guy who's mad. Here's the lady who's who's like very sexual. Here's the and it's just very it's like one dimensional. Okay, it's like I don't even need to know your names. I just need to know your gimmick. Zenotsuke is the loud guy.
Yeah. Zenitsu is the crybaby pervert. Yeah, I mean,
right, yeah,
pervert. He's a simp. He's a simp. He's a crybaby simp. So there we go.
It's one dimensional. You get it. You move on. And I'm like, when characters like that die, because like when the character we're talking about who should not be named in the Infinity Train arc, when he died, I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. I know, but I don't give a shit, man.
It's like I don't, and it's like and one thing I really didn't appreciate was the mangaka when I'm not gonna say she's not good, but I really didn't like you're trying to play me like it only takes this little for me to care about somebody. Like the backstory that they tried to give that specific person when that happened, I was like, that's something that you can that's something that you. It was just like the placement of it, like from the introduction of them to when the event happened. There was no space in between, like you. Like for me to care about them. All I know is what they about, their rank and all of that, and what they do, and then boom, it's like they didn't even give you any time for you to really for them to really like showcase what they can do.
Right.
It's like the very first showcase of them, boom, that happens. It's like I can't I don't know. I really didn't know. Like let's say for instance, All Might dies in his fight versus All for One.
Yeah.
3 seasons, you know what he's about. You know his backstory. You know, like you seen him at his best. You seen him at his worst. Like you know what All Might is about. And imagine if All for One kills All Might right there. That hurts.
That hurts.
Because you seen them at their best. You know how good they can be. You see them at their worst. You know how they can look when they're not really like in top shape. So it's kind of like, yo, when this happens, you put him in different scenarios. He's the number one hero. You got to figure out like how is he going to get out of the situation, and he doesn't. You know his history. Yeah. It's like, dang, he didn't make it. And it's like with this particular character, they didn't give me any time to care about him. Like, for me to like actually like really figure out like what he could do. All I know is the person is strong. They're this and that. Their gimmick is this, and I'm just supposed to be like, yeah, this is my dude. Like, no.
It's like we actually have to ask the question: does kill count matter when you're killing characters we don't care about? I don't think it should.
I don't think it should. Like kill count, honestly, for this is like for me personally, kill count really doesn't. Like how many people you kill doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't. Like for Death Note, right? For Death Note, like Light killed a ton of people. He killed a ton of people. You didn't really care. But when Light died, it's like, oh, like that kind of, I ain't gonna say it hurt, but it's like that death or L's death. I ain't gonna say no one saw that coming, but it's like that was a shock. Like it was like, oh,
yeah. It had a weight to it.
It's like you got L, yeah, nah, this is a problem because you know what he can do. You know like how capable he is. So it's like if someone catches him, it's like, oh, this person must be a problem. If you call L slipping. And when L died, it's like, yeah. Kira's actually a problem. But when this person died, you really had nothing to really compare it to. Like they're only as strong or weaker than the person that they fought. And if you really don't know the history of the person that they're fighting, it feels flat. It's like, oh, okay. Well, like, and I know Ufotable is going to make this movie look glorious. Ufotable is going to make this look beautiful.
I'm so salty.
People are going to cream their pants when they see this movie because I have seen multiple Ufotable movies. And Lord, you cannot do not give Ufotable time to make a movie because they are going to that is going to be a visual spectacle, the likes of which we have never seen. I know it is. And I'm going to go see that movie simply because it's Ufotable, not because of Demon Slayer. I'm going to go see a movie because of Ufotable, not because of Demon Slayer. And I know they're going to make it look crazy. And Lord knows I'm probably going to get emotional, but it's not because of the content that's presented in Demon Slayer. It's going to be how Ufotable presented it, the music, like everything. Like I know they're going to do it. I know they're going to show up because Demon Slayer is now a worldwide phenomenon. They have to. This is a move you have to. And I know that people are gonna look at this. It was so beautiful. This and that. They're gonna be crying and all that. I know. But
Man,
people, it's not gonna be that good. It's like the substance isn't gonna be there. Is it gonna look beautiful? Yes, it's gonna look fantastic, and you have to give props to UFO Table. But the content isn't that good. I read that arc in one sitting, and I was like,
me too.
I was like, that's it. Like they were hyping it up so much, and I'm like, okay, must be good. Let me read it. It's right there once, and I was like, oh, that's it. Okay. Yeah. I was like, if anything, at least I know it's gonna look good because I'll say this about UFO Table. UFO Table is carrying that manga. It is. Demon Slayer, they got so lucky that UFO Table picked them up. Like, the people are saying, UFO Table, no. I'm like, stop it. Then people try to bring up the manga sales. Yeah, because typically if an anime looks good, people are going to think the manga looks just as good or better. Word to Black Clover. They're going to be like, this looks like this going to be... The art in the manga isn't really all that good. Now, am I saying that I can draw something better? No, I cannot. I'm horrible at drawing, but I can differentiate between good art, which is Yusuke Murata, Kohei Horikoshi, Yuki Tabata, versus bad art. Like that's not even the art in Jujutsu Kaisen really isn't all that good, but its main staple isn't its art. It's its fight choreography, and sometimes you have to sacrifice great art to get to do it. And I'm like, I completely understand that. Akira Toriyama is probably the master at having fantastic art and having fantastic fight choreography.
Yeah, dude was a legend at it.
He is a legend, and I will look at Toriyama's panels. The art will be fantastic. Like Toriyama's art, oh my goodness, it's
dude doesn't get as much credit as an artist that he
doesn't. He doesn't. His art, his fights, all of that are fantastic, and it's like he's probably an outlier. But the mangaka for Demon Slayer, she's really not that good at I'm not gonna say the art isn't that good. The art isn't that good. UFO Table made it look beautiful. Fan art and all that make it look beautiful. And I hate saying that people who make fan art make draw it better than the mangaka. I really hate saying that. But yeah, some fan art was actually better than the official art in the Demon Slayer manga. And that's just because I believe they have more artistic talent than the manga. Now, do I think they could be a full-blown mangaka? No, I don't. But just comparison, the art is better. The art is better. The art is better. But it's just like this. I just feel like it's kind of Demon Slayer. Just as a whole, it just feels lackluster. It doesn't like grab me like a Chainsaw Man, like a Jujutsu Kaisen, like a Black Clover, like even My Hero Academia. Like it just like The Promised Neverland. It doesn't grab me like those series do. It's just something about it. It doesn't feel like it just feels a little bit flat. It just feels a little bit flat. And I've been hearing things about the ending. The ending, people are saying the ending was horrible. I've seen people give it like a 3 out of 10.
I read the last chapter. I was like, wait, what the heck happened? Why am I seeing school children and all that?
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, really?
Oh, dang. Okay.
And I understand the circumstances as to why it had to end. I think there was
wait, what happened?
I believe that something was going on in the manga because like personal life where they kind of like had to end it. I really don't know why, but I don't believe that she ended it on her own accord.
Really? Because I know Shonen Jump would have loved for something like this to just keep going. They would have.
No, I highly doubt Shonen Jump was like Demon Slayer has to go. No, like Demon Slayer, I would give Demon Slayer its props. That birthed a whole new generation of anime fans. A whole new generation of anime fans. I've gone to anime conventions since Demon Slayer has been out. It's nothing like how My Hero was hot back in the day.
Yeah.
Jesus, back in the day, like 4 years ago. It's just nothing but Demon Slayer. It's like Nezuko, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and it's just that. Like they're like the new My Hero. They're like the new My Hero fans, you know. Like it's like, and Shonen Jump recognizes that they would never drop Demon Slayer just because like
Yeah, something must have happened.
something must have happened. So I'm not gonna say that the ending was entirely on her. I understand circumstance and the crazy stuff that's going on in the world, stuff that might have happened. I don't have all the details, but I don't believe that her ending the story like that was on her. The way that the current arc was going, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. I'm not giving her anything for that. But the ending was, I'm not going to crap on the ending too much. Just separate the ending from the final arc, apparently, that was doing. It wasn't that good. But Ufotable was going to make it look glorious. The camera angles are going to be insane. I can already picture it in my head. Just
Bruh, them 3D shots.
the 3D shots are going to be insane. They're going to be crazy, and my eyes are going to love it. But one thing I think people have to be able to do: separate what it looks like and look at the content that they're presenting. Because you can present, if you present it right, you can make a pile of doodle look glorious. Believe me, you can. It's just about how you present it. They've been blessed with having Ufotable animate that series. So everything that happens, all the deaths that are gonna happen,
Man,
they're gonna look glorious.
When I hear stuff like that, I'm just like, yo, Kubo, I don't care if you got to go on your knees. Tell Ufotable to pick Bleach up. Tell them to pick Bleach up because, like, if Kimetsu no Yaiba can blow up to this extent with its source material, I'm like, if these mans get their hands on Bleach, the final arc, like we are like, I'm
man,
because Kubo doesn't need help. Kubo doesn't need help looking good, making his manga look good. Kimetsu no Yaiba needed help. Imagine what they could do with that. Amazing. But I remember when I actually read that arc. I'm trying to see if I can remember exactly what it was, but there's a thing with Kimetsu no Yaiba, excuse me, where they'll have Tanjiro narrate. Wait, okay, what does he do? So it's almost like, okay, cool. He's in a certain situation, and he narrates. Actually, hold on. I don't think I want to, like, I'm probably not gonna risk saying it if I don't remember exactly what happened. But I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. To where Tanjiro has an inner monologue, or not an inner monologue. Oh, I remember. Boom, I remember. Okay, thank goodness. It's like there's a narrator, because when you're looking at a panel and you draw like a circle on top of the character's head, it's implied that that's what the character's thinking. But then when they draw like a square, it's like, oh, this is the author talking directly to you. This is stuff that he wants you to know. And usually in anime, they'll just make it be like a narrator who's talking. And so it's like you're in the situation, and then the narrator goes, Tanjiro knew that he had to do something about XYZ. He knew that all the pain and the suffering, and the narrator just tells you all the emotions that they're trying to let you feel, which is another example of the issues I have with Kimetsu no Yaiba, where instead of showing, they just get the narrator to tell you exactly what they want you to know. And I'm like, that's not like, sure, I'm going to completely understand what you want me to know, but like showing risks the person who's watching misinterpreting it, but it also means that if they do interpret it correctly, it's going to hit home all the more. I think Kimetsu no Yaiba overdoes it to where you just get a bunch of manga panels where the character's not saying anything, and it's just the square thing where the narrator is telling you exactly what the character's thinking. So we don't need to look at their faces. We don't need to look at their expression. We don't need, like, they just tell you what they want you to know. I don't like that. I don't.
Because it feels like you're being spoon-fed information. It's like, I can read and think critically. Believe me, I can. Like, I have above a third grade reading level. I got it, and it's kind of like, that's one of the biggest things where it's just like I'm not gonna say I feel like a baby reading it, because that's probably like how I feel about it. But it's just like I can read. I can interpret stuff. I'm reading this series. If I'm this deep into the story, I'm obviously invested on some type of level, whether I hate it or not. I'm invested. Like you got me as a reader. You don't need to tell me stuff. Let me interpret things, because one thing I find when people read stuff, they'll interpret it the best way they can, in the best way that makes sense to them. And 9 times out of 10, the way that they're interpreting it, they're probably going to enjoy it, or they're probably going to hate it. If either way, you got them, and they're going to go into it like with this type of thing. That's probably what you want. don't just tell me, because now you're limiting like what's possible. You know, you're limiting what I could think and what could possibly happen in my mind, because a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff about reading stuff, especially like week to week chapters like this, is theorizing what's gonna happen next. You know, like imagine if after every chapter, right, the manga they let you know, yeah, this is gonna happen next and this is gonna happen next. It's like you kill all the fun, you kill all the buzz about it. It works during the chapter too. If you tell me what's going on, like, but then you want me to feel invested. It's like, dog, show me. Don't tell me, please. Don't tell me. I'm already reading. This is what separates a manga from or a graphic novel from a regular novel. You can show me this. You don't have to tell me. You have the freedom to draw however dynamic, however, like, you can do whatever you want. This is yours. Why are you limiting yourself to telling me when you can just show me? Show me, like visual symbolism is a thing. Visual symbolism is a thing. Like, imagine if there's like a panel, I'm pretty sure there is, where it's just like a page with Naruto standing, and then like you see the eyes and shadows of Kurama behind him. And you just see someone like, and you kind of like draw Naruto and Kurama looking huge, or the shadows of Kurama, and you have like someone look incredibly small, standing like in front of him. No words need to be said. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
This dude they're scared. You can interpret it like that. Like, boom, no words need to be said. You don't have to tell me. Like, imagine that same scene, but the person's like, "Oh, I'm so afraid." It's like, duh, you're afraid. I can see that.
I can see that.
I can see that. Yes, I can see that. And that, like, them not saying anything, that hits. That's like, oh, this must be serious.
Yeah.
They're not talking. Like, this vision, and that's they just focus incredibly heavy on just. They're like holding your hand throughout the entire. Like, this really feels like baby's first manga. Yes, yes, this is happening, and yes, this is happening, and it's like, dog, let me interpret it how I want. I don't need, and that's probably why, like, people who are like who've been in like manga and like anime and all that, who've been like consuming it for a longer time. Aside from the anime, it's I don't find a lot of people enjoying the manga. But they'll point to the sales and I'll look at the sales, look at this and that and that. But it's like, yeah, believe me, I know the manga is selling really well because they're comparing, because they think it's going to look just as good or better than the anime. And then you get it, like me, and I'm thinking, oh, the art is going to be really good. Then you open up, it's like, oh, this art kind of isn't good. It's not. It's really not. And like the Tanjiro, like the fight, everyone knows the fight that I'm talking about in Demon Slayer. The anime great. I mean, oh my god,
yeah,
they greatly improved upon that fight so much. And I remember after that fight came out, people were specifically going to the manga to read that manga. I forgot which volume it was. They went looking for that specific manga that the fight was in, and I read it. I was like, this sucks.
Nah. I actually, that final panel that everybody loved so much, where there's a spiraling thing around him. Yeah, she. I was like, nah. Ufotable carried this. Ufotable clearly carried this.
I'm like, yo, and people was like, Ufotable. I'm like, shut up. Yes, they did. Stop it. I'm not hating on Demon Slayer. I don't hate Demon Slayer. I just feel like it gets too much credit. And now I feel like the content gets too much credit, but people aren't giving credit to the studio. Right. They're not. Yeah. And like, honestly, I Mob Psycho is in my top. I think I said this in the last episode. Mob Psycho was in my top 2-3 favorite anime of all time. And I will be the first person to tell you, Bones carried Mob Psycho. I don't care what nobody says. Yep. Bones carried Mob Psycho. They did. If you pick up the Mob Psycho manga, it looks nothing like the anime. I am sorry. If you pick up that Mob Psycho manga and you expect it to look just as beautiful as Bones makes it look, you are going to be in for a lot of disappointment. Bones carried Mob Psycho, and everyone, for some reason, everyone loves to say, yeah, Bones made Mob Psycho. But when it comes to Demon Slayer, oh no, UFO said, like, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
What's the difference? Because they're trying to say, oh, it's cool that hate on Demon. No one hates on Demon Slayer. People see, like you say, oh, Ufotable, they did that. No, they didn't. I'm like, no one's hating on Demon Slayer. Believe me, dog. I don't hate Demon Slayer. I just don't think it's as good as people make it out to be. Like, Demon Slayer really isn't that deep. It's not that complex. It doesn't have a whole lot of layers to it. The villains feel bland. The characters feel bland. Like the characters really, Tanjiro has to be one of the most blanded. Like he has to be the most blandest MC I've ever experienced. And yes, even more than Goku. Yes, even more than Goku. Yes.
My goodness.
Like Tanjiro, there's no depth to Tanjiro. He just it's just a typical it's just Demon Slayer. It blew up because of UFO Table, and like a lot of the anime fans, their first experience with an anime, you get it animated by UFO Table. You tell me that someone who's the first time they're watching anime, they get an UFO Table anime, that they're not gonna fall in love with this, and they're not gonna defend it to their hearts, like to their blue in the face. They got spoiled.
Oh my god,
man! Let your first anime be something animated by Studio Dean, 7 Deadly Sins Season 3, or Studio Period back in the early days. Let's not talk about that. But UFO Table carried it. They're going to carry it. The manga really, honestly, the manga as a whole, like just based on what I've read so far, it's a 5 out of 10. It's not that good.
It's not that good.
It's all right. It's all right. It's like, honestly, it's just not that good. It's okay.
It's not gonna surprise you, but it's also not gonna do like anything like so bad that you're gonna be like, all right, I'm done. I'm not watching this stuff anymore. It's consistent in its blandness. It's just gonna be a 5 and it's gonna stay a 5 all throughout, and you can just, you get your boring, your straightforward main character. You get your big, because I don't know what you thought about. Everybody was hype about episode 19. Episode 19, everyone was hype about it. I just had to go read it because it was trending on Twitter.
Yeah,
and people were making videos. I was like, okay, dang. All right, let's go check it out.
Let me go check this on out. Yeah.
I go and I watch it. I'm like, I mean, the person he was fighting, I didn't like that guy. That guy was like, I thought the character was dumb. The little guy who was like, oh
my sister. He got like some family sister. I don't know what type of fetish he got going on. I don't know what that was.
Right. To me, I was like, this is very well animated, yes, but when it's trending on Twitter, most people were talking about how good it is animated, but they're like, oh, this is so good. I'm thinking there's something there about the content that's so special, but like nothing monumental even happened as far as the characters are concerned, except Tanjiro uses fire breathing, and that's cool, and then Nezuko uses the blood ability or whatever. Yeah. But it was. I didn't feel that this was anything so great, crazy that it would be trending on Twitter and be like, because I think that's when Demon Slayer did it for Demon Slayer. That moment is what shot it up into the stratosphere.
Episode 19, and Ninja tweeted about it too. I remember Ninja tweeted about it. He said Demon Slayer is like my favorite anime or something like that. Ninja, and this was what Ninja was like at the top of like the game. So it's like anything is blowing up. So like you got people who've never watched anime, or people who are just interested. Anime is starting to become like a little bit more mainstream now. People who are like digging it, they don't know where to start, because like someone who has never watched anime and they're looking to get into it, that is a huge like where do I even start?
Hello?
Has a huge fan base. Demon Slayer is my favorite anime. They're like, boom, let me go watch Demon Slayer. And then you create that, it's just like, but like you said before, it was very well animated. I felt, and I heard and I read that the mangaka for Demon Slayer, she actually cried watching it. And I'm like, yo, I can't fault you for that. It was a beautiful episode. It was a very beautiful episode.
Yeah.
But it kind of, in terms of how it looked, it was beautiful. The music, all of that, like UFO Table carried it. The music, all of this, it was a very good episode. But it just felt like, and then they revealed the next episode, Tanjiro didn't even kill him. He detached his hair right before he could slice him. So I'm like,
what was the point of that?
Yeah, right. Well, all of that was for nothing.
All of
it was for nothing.
In my opinion, I preferred Endeavor versus the Nomu. I prefer that to this one.
Yes.
Because in terms of the music choice, I think My Hero did the music choice a lot better. The animation, especially with Hawks, what they were doing with Hawks, like,
one thing My Hero, it was like that fight, like that episode felt like, it felt like an animator's playground. Right. They did whatever they wanted. It was like, this is the season. Yutaka Nakamura did whatever he wanted. He had like a shortcut, but it was like, it was like, no one scene felt the same, but they all mashed together really well.
Yeah,
And
it's special.
if you want to look at something like the benchmark for like unique animation, Endeavor versus the Haiyan Nomu is a way better choice than Tanjiro versus Rui. Fate has, you want to look at crazy animation, Fate Babylonia. And I saw you watching Fate Babylonia. I saw you watching that. Yes, I saw you watching that. Yes, episode 8. That Fate Babylonia for me. When they get in like their top gear, they have better animation than Tanjiro versus Rui, Ushiwaka Maru versus Gorgon. That and oh my god, that fight in terms of like the fluidity of how it all came together, like that was just beautiful.
I mean, I will say though, unless maybe Fate Babylonia is going to do something to change my mind. Currently, the name of the lady you said, Uwa Shakamaru or whatever her name is, sorry, I butchered it. They've not done much for me in terms of caring about her just yet. As far as if that fight is supposed to be a tense fight in terms of, because I haven't seen it yet, but in terms of she almost dies or whatever, as far as tension goes, there's going to be very little because she's not really done anything just yet. Like she's been there, and when she's on screen, she looked like a cool person and everything. But like, I don't really care just yet because you're not doing anything with
it. And that's the thing. And I really don't mean to strip, but it's just kind of like her motivation really is, it's precious, because the main character, he studied Ushiwaka Maru. He knew about her. He knew all about like her legend and all of that. And so, like being remembered like your legend and all that in terms of feat is it's incredibly important. And Ushiwaka, she really didn't think like too much of herself, So like when the main character was Arisuka, he was sitting on the rooftop. He was talking to her about her legend and all that. She was like, you really remembered that? Like she was like, you really remembered that? Like thousands of years in the future, people still remember me. And like that scene when she was in front of Gorgon, and people was like, "Yo, don't do it," and she knew she was outmatched. So she was like, just knowing that someone 1,000 years in the future thinks so highly of me, that's enough for me to fight. I know I'm outmatched, but that's just enough. That's just enough for me to pick up my sword and just give them a chance, like give them something, like this is like enough, this is worth fighting for. Just the fact that you thought so highly of me, that you remember what I did thousands of years in the future, that was enough for me to fight. And just that, like just that interaction, just them talking and leading up to that fight, it's better than anything Demon Slayer has done, because it's like the characterization, like just anyone really can relate to wanting to be remembered for something. No one comes into this life wanting to just be forgotten. And they say, and people say you died 2 times.
Yeah.
One time when your soul leaves your body, and the second time when the last person forgets about you.
Yeah.
And it's just like she was willing to fight against this insurmountable enemy. Like she was willing to do that simply because someone thousands of years later didn't forget about her. That's deeper than anything Demon Slayer has done. And that might have even been like, you probably could attribute that to, no lie, 10 minutes of just in between them like them talking and that fight.
Yeah.
That was deeper than anything Demon Slayer has done. Anything Demon Slayer has done. Like that's crazy. And that's why I was like, that fight, just not even from the animation, just the content, how deep it was and the meaning behind it. That's why that fight is better than Demon Slayer, like Tanjiro versus Roy. That's why it was. Not just because of the animation, but just because the story behind it. Just the story behind it. It was tense. You kind of didn't know, but you know why she's fighting. Tanjiro, I just want to save my sister. Okay.
It's cool. Like no hate.
No hate on that, obviously, but it's like she hasn't done anything. She's cute. Okay, that's questionable.
Which is like, oh, bro, that's so questionable for me. I'm like, yo, guys, keep it.
Let's keep it
crazy with that.
Like, let's leave it alone. I'm like, I'm like, did he have a sister fetish or like, I don't know, like, what is going on?
It's messed up. It really, really is. But I think Demon Slayer had a good run. I'm not one of the haters who's like, oh, One Piece has been thrown, because for me, like I love One Piece and I give One Piece the respect it deserves. but I feel like One Piece fans kind of needed the reality check.
Yes, 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 yes. They did.
They
Yes. Oh my
needed the
god.
reality check. I mean, I wish it was another series that did it, but that's okay. Kimetsu no Yaiba just give y'all a reality check. One Piece is not untouchable. All right.
It's not.
So
They've been at top. They've been on top for years. It's kind of like They kind of need to get knocked down the peg a little bit. Where it's like, yeah, yeah, you was the king for a long time, but there's someone new. You feel me?
sure, of course, I mean, I'm not rocking with the new king, but I mean,
No, I'm
like,
not. No, I'm not. No.
just so y'all can get your heads out of the clouds, because people be acting as if One Piece is flawless. It's not.
And even then, the mangaka aren't even like that. They were like celebrating. They was like, "Yo, congratulations!" Like they're not like this. So I'm like, why is everyone else butting heads? Like for me, like I never really like compares. I never really like hate another series, or like I don't find like I don't find that. Like I'm just like I'm not saying this series is like I'm not with that. I'm not saying like I'm never felt like oh this series completely sucks or whatever. Like I'm just like look if the mangaka themselves are friends with each other, like and they're like celebrating each other's like success and all that. They're always constantly like saying yo good job. This is that. I'm so happy for you. This and that.
Yo,
Why can't y'all do it?
I just remembered something. So I know when Bleach ended, when Bleach's last chapter ended, I know a lot of manga came out to be like, oh, because I know Yuki Tabata did it. The what's his name? Srirachi from Gintama did it. Basically all the mangas that were running in Shonen Jump currently. They were like, oh, I used to read this when I was in, especially the new ones. I used to read it when I was in high school or in college, and then now I'm in the same magazine with Kubo Sensei. Thank you, whatever. I'm just trying to remember if Oda said something, because I feel like Oda didn't say anything. And it kind of like when you take that story and you look back at the story where when Kubo was first coming into Shonen Jump, he participated in like an author's
Yeah, I did read that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the only the person who beat him was Oda. And Kubo was kind of salty about that. So I'm wondering if there's kind of like a thing going on between Kubo and Oda, because Oda will be chill with Kishimoto. He'll be chill with Kishimoto. He'll be chill with Toriyama. But like Kubo is just like the odd one out. As far as the big three is concerned, Kubo is just the odd one out. And I'm just wondering whether or not Kubo's kind of salty about Oda, because then I just think it would be kind of interesting.
I would love to like have the both of them just like sit down and just talk. Like just that would just like I would just love that. Like because I remember there was an interview where Horikoshi and Oda sat down, and Horikoshi was like, "Yeah, I wanted to surpass One Piece." I was like, "Really now?" He told that straight to Oda's face. He's like, "I want to surpass One Piece." I'm like. That type of rivalry would be like just like I'm all for the buddy like I'm all for that. That's wholesome. That's all of that. But also it would be interesting for a mangaka to come in where the series is good, and then it's kind of like you kind of have a rivalry with other mangaka. You feel me? It's kind of like that would create like a lot of good content, because it's like you don't want this other person to one up you. You feel me? Like it might be a different community with the mangaka. Like I read this, like they be going to each other houses and all of that. Like
and they get in parties and everything.
Yeah, they be going to parties and all that. So it probably won't happen, but it's definitely interesting. And you bring up that Kubo and Oda, that other thing it's actually pretty funny, because like I kind of like imagine them like kind of like I don't say they don't like each other, but it's kind of like
honestly, because I do remember that there's this thing on YouTube to where they show like the rankings and popularity of certain shows, and I feel like One Piece I don't think One Piece really blew up until like they hit so One Piece was I think it was pretty like chill throughout like the Arlong arc, and then at the Alabasta arc people started to get onto it, but it wasn't until Marineford where it Enies Lobby was the first one, but Marineford is where it just exploded. It just exploded in Marineford. And you'll look at the sales to where for a long time Naruto, but then for a while Bleach was even selling more than One Piece. And then all of a sudden One Piece just started overtaking anybody, and it just shot, and no one ever caught up after that point. So I'm just wondering, like thinking from the mind of Kubo, I don't know if Kubo cares about if they look at manga sales and everything, but like he's looking at manga sales and he's like doing well, and all of a sudden this Oda dude that you kind of don't like, maybe kind of hate or whatever, he just passes you into every like especially with Shonen Jump, the way they do it, where certain series get the cover pages, and it's like, Oda, can we get a cover page? Oda, can we get a cover page? And in the 1,000 Year Blood War arc, Kubo was getting very little cover pages. Like it would be like once in a while, and Kubo could get the cover page, but then every single week, One Piece is on there somewhere. Like they're gonna, and I'm just like, from the perspective of Kubo, is this dude like getting mad because like One Piece is everywhere? I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of Japan, but as far as
Yeah,
go, One Piece
man,
is
everywhere. That is a cult. Like imagine, I can just imagine Kubo driving around his car, just seeing Luffy and just cursing. He's like, like, yo,
oh my god, the dude is everywhere. But I would also like to see what Kishimoto thought about Burn the Witch giving Samurai 8 the boot.
yeah.
I wonder if Kishimoto is salty about that.
But those type of things, I feel like once you kind of had like success, you know, you kind of then like once something else bombs, it's kind of like you will go back and you kind of like appreciate the work that you did before, because it's kind of like, yeah, you're Kishimoto, but this ain't it. Like we showed, we still do kind of like people. This still does need to sell at the end of the day. And one thing I read about Shonen Jump, it's extremely competitive. It's extremely cutthroat. Like they do not play about like the stuff that they let into show. So I know that like you have to have kind of like I'm kind of comparison. I'm kind of like comparing it to like sports in America, where that's kind of like the big thing in America. You kind of have to have like a dog, or kind of like that competitive mentality, where it's like you really believe that you're the best at what you do, and you really can. Like, and you like, even though like in public you might be like, yeah, man, this dude's a great player, this and that, blah 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 blah. In the back of your mind, you're like, I want to crush this dude, you know. And I honestly feel like once Oda wakes up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, he's thinking about Kishimoto, he's thinking about Horikoshi, he's thinking about all these dudes that are coming in trying to take his spot. Because like I can't let these new kids come in and take my spot, you know. He's like, and I'm just like, I know that for someone to get up and do that every day, Oda, I saw he gets up like at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, eats One Piece storyboard, does that to all day. He literally eats, sleeps, and drinks One Piece. You have to have that. You have to have that drive. You have to have that mentality to that I'm the best at this, and this is what I do. He has to have that, and I know that these manga have to have it, or they wouldn't be in Shonen Jump. They wouldn't on there every week. You wouldn't, and that's why I've kind of grown like a lot more respect for manga, or like and the stuff that they do. Way more than like I used to in the past. I just used to watch strictly anime. Once I got into manga, and you read stuff and you like see the process of drawing it, storyboarding it, you know, the characters out. Like you look at all these great pictures and all that, and you have to sit there and realize someone sat down and drew this. And you just have to. And Kubo is one of my favorite manga artists. Like his art is beautiful. I'm like, yo, this dude is insane. One of the most talented. Like I think Kubo is a better artist than Oda.
Yeah, I think so too.
Kubo is a better artist than Oda. Oda just has a story that everyone loves a lot more. Kubo as an artist is way better than Oda. I'm not saying Oda isn't a great artist. Oda is
Oda's good.
He's a great. But Kubo, it's just like a tier that like.
Kubo has a style to him. Like his style is just so nice.
And his style from the beginning all the way up until the end, he greatly improved. Like greatly. I literally own volume 1 of Bleach and the volume 74 of Bleach, and I compare them. This dude Kubo, man, like that goes to show like just you get into Shonen Jump, that isn't the end. That's just the beginning. Just because you're in it now, that doesn't mean that you're gonna be in it forever. You can get cut at any moment. And people probably don't know this. I don't know if you heard about the series called Zip Man.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I never read it, but I know about Zip Man.
Zip Man, yeah. I was like, it's made by the same. I think the assistant took Horikoshi. Art style looked great. All of that. It got cut in 17 chapters. They said this has to go. 17 chapters. I guess because it wasn't good. I was enjoying it. The art looked really good. The concept was very good. They're cutthroat up there at Shonen Jump. They are extremely cutthroat, and I was one of the only few people who was really trying to like get people to watch. To read Zip Man, but I mean it's Shonen. That's a competitive thing, and I got it, and it's just whatever sells. And I'm reading this, and you should probably pick up this series too. Time Paradise Ghostwriter.
Yeah.
That really that really dictates, like that really showcases really well, like just how Shonen Jump is, how cutthroat it is. Like you could pour your whole life into something, like pour like everything into it, and they're like, no, this has to go. This isn't going to do it. And that gives me, and that's why I really don't like to like criticize a lot of manga, really, especially the one for Demon Slayer, because like I know how hard it is.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really
hard. And how hard it is that to constantly keep going, every week, to bust out 200 something chapters, to like and Shonen Jump, which is the top, like that's a feat that a lot like
getting in is hard enough.
Just getting in is hard enough, but to be consistently up there, that's why I don't give a crap for how it ended. I don't give a crap about how it ended, and I understand like the fatigue and all that would come into place too.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
To say that it's the best, to say that it was the best out there, that's a stretch. But
yeah, my goodness,
you still gotta give it her respect, but it's not the best. Let's cut that out right now.
Yeah, it's actually almost as much as when you think about how much work goes into writing the manga, and so Bleach has got 686 chapters. Ooh. And you see, with One Piece, because One Piece is about to hit 1,000. Actually, Detective Conan has been going on for forever. I don't know how that artist does it. It's like they got over 1,000 chapters, ridiculous. But anyway, the one thing I do notice is like with Oda, they'll always give Oda breaks. I remember back when Kubo wasn't getting much breaks, and I just think about how sad that was because the dude was riding with like a torn shoulder or something like that, and it's like. I do think Oda definitely deserves all the babying that he gets because the man's a legend and he overworks already. But you know how they deliberately give Oda a schedule that here's a week, take it off. We don't get take it off because they're trying to protect him. But then the other mangaka don't get that. I mean, I guess you got to earn that kind of
treatment because it was Oda. Yeah, and I completely and I heard about that too. Like he would look like this dude wouldn't sleep. He wouldn't eat to get One Piece ready for Shonen Jump. And that type of dedication, you gotta give this dude. That's just like Oda's literally built different. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah, and I mean I don't know how other manga could do. I'm sure mangaka like all of them work very hard,
extremely hard.
Because it's a tough job. It really really is. I'm like dang. I don't know how much sleeping these guys do, but it doesn't look like they get much sleep. Hopefully, I mean. Here's a question that wasn't on the list, but let me ask you what you think about this. How do you think? Did you read Burn the Witch, the one shot?
I didn't read Burn the Witch. I saw that it was getting an ad. I saw that it was getting an anime. So I was like, well, I might want to read. I might want to watch the anime.
Okay, so you don't know anything. I was going to ask you what you thought about it, but that's okay. But yeah, with the time breaker, I keep calling time breaker paradox. That's not. I don't know where. I don't know what. Oh wait, that's from that dragon time breaker Bardock, and that's where I keep getting that from. It's what's the name again? Remind me.
Time paradox Ghostwriter.
Okay, well I was way up. Time paradox Ghostwriter, because when like me trying to do this YouTube thing, trying to start it, it's actually harder than I thought because no one really cares about things that happened like years ago, at least not yet. I feel like if I were caught up with the animes that are going on now we're doing videos on that, it would be much more better. So it's like I actually have a reason to actually read that show so I can actually be current with everybody. Because right now I'm like behind on everything. If I make a video now, no one cares. It's been 2 years. We don't care. We're like on to the next thing. So anyway. I think we have. I'm gonna have to chop some of this off because I feel like we got off topic, but that's okay. That's okay.
That honestly could be like 2 separate videos, honestly.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna chop it up into 3 videos: the Jujutsu Kaisen one, the Demon Slayer one, and then the Byakuya one. And then well, but thank you. Oh, right. Before we go, there's one last thing. So I don't know how your schedule works, but for me, I work every other Saturday. So it's like I wouldn't be able to, I would want to do it once every week, but then it would have to be it's like one Saturday I'm free and the next I'm not. So typically what I want to do is on Saturdays where I work, are you available Friday evening?
Friday evenings, yes, because with COVID-19 and all that, where
Okay,
I
so
work,
for
we
now.
typically, we typically get off like in the middle of the day. So once I'm at home, I'm basically free because I would do my writing like in the morning. Like for my book, I would do my writing in the morning, carry that over into the afternoon. That way, once the evening rolls around, I'm basically free. So whenever your schedule is free, which is like you said Saturday, every other Saturday. The weekends, I'm completely free. I don't do any writing. I kind of had to pull an order on myself and just take breaks for the weekends. Like I won't write on Saturdays or Sundays.
Yeah,
So Saturdays and Sundays, I'm not doing anything. My schedule's completely free.
okay, all right. So I think we can do that to where it's like Friday evening and then the next week Saturday evening, and we can just alternate that way. And hopefully, I like to see whether people care a little bit more when you cut it into pieces. But regardless, even without the views, like I enjoy doing this regardless. So eventually, as long as it's consistent, it'll show.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about that. But thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. So I'm gonna catch you later. All right, thank you very much, man.
All right, man, no problem.
All right, so let me end broadcast.